Okay, today we're going to talk about how to proofread and edit your essay. Proofreading and editing are similar things, but they're not exactly the same. Proofreading just means you found the mistakes that you made and you fixed them. Editing means you've thought about how best to present your essay in terms of supporting your argument, in terms of making it flow, making it all sort of one single essay piece that comes together. So um, first, let's talk about the easier one, proofreading. Uh, this is sort of obvious, but I need to say it anyway. The GED suggests you take 4 to 5 minutes at the end of the essay to read it over, and you should do that because even if you're not really intentional about it, you're still going to spot some mistakes that you made, some obvious ones, and that will only happen if you take the 4 or 5 minutes to read over your essay. If you can do it in 5 or 6 minutes, then you can sort of read with your proofreading glasses on, which forces you to read more slowly. Focus on each word as you look for things that are wrong. It's a different kind of reading than reading for pleasure or reading for information. You're reading for mistakes. It's sort of like you're going on a treasure hunt, and the treasure is the things you messed up. What else? You can sort of make this more efficient by focusing on areas that are where mistakes are common. You yourself might know that you have trouble in certain areas. Focus on those areas. Like if you are bad at, for example, punctuating things, when you're proofreading, look at the punctuation. You might not, like people are at different levels, and some people are punctuational masters, and other people are a little fuzzy on when to use a comma and how to deploy a semicolon. The answer for a semicolon is never in a GED essay. Just forget the whole thing. But punctuation is a very common area that people mess up. Run-on sentences need to be separated by periods or other end punctuation. Just focus on areas where it could go wrong there. The capitalization is sort of like the child of punctuation because if you're lazy and you're writing like it's a text message, then you're not going to capitalize things. That's an easy mistake to correct if you're focusing on capitalization. Another area that's commonly mistaken are the homophones, the it's and its, the there, your, and to, and to. If you don't know the rules for these things, that's sort of a different conversation, and I'm happy to have that with you or point you towards some of the many online resources that can help you master that stuff. But just keep in mind that like if you're using the word it might be the wrong it's, and you should pay it extra special attention in your proofreading. The final thing is maybe not obvious, but just like every other skill, you can improve it with practice. And there's tons of opportunities to practice. Like just for laughs, what if instead of just hitting post on an online discussion, you proofread it in the same way that you would proofread an RLA essay before you hit submit? That you're like, just treat it as an opportunity to get some extra practice in with editing. You can do it in class, but you can do it anytime you write. You can. As an English teacher, I'm very like uptight and sort of a little ridiculous about my text messages. Like I punctuate them very deliberately and capitalize in a way that I realize that most other people don't do. But maybe that would be fun practice. I don't know. Let's talk about editing, which is a little bit more like intellectual and abstract and a little bit harder. If you don't have time for this, that's fine. Proofreading will get you much of the way there. But if you do have time to like be deliberative about how your essay is structured and how it flows, here are some questions you could ask yourself to make it better. You could look at the ideas. Let's say you have 3 main arguments. Does it make sense to start with a certain one? Like, is that the most introductory kind of argument? Does it flow from one to the next? Think about how your ideas add up based on the order that they're in. And then the other 2 ways you can think about the flow of an essay is, first of all, think about one paragraph to the next. Are you using transition words effectively at the beginning of your paragraphs? The most basic way to do that is with firstly, secondly, finally. That's sort of like the bare minimum. But you can sort of like get fancy. You can drop a moreover or a however or something like that. But also think about using it between sentences, because the way that we've been talking about writing your RLA essay, it's a little bit like you just copy and paste and sort of like dump sentences into the final essay. And that's fine. It's going to get you some points. But if you just dump stuff into an essay without thinking about how it flows, without thinking about connecting the words with some sort of transition, connecting the sentences with some sort of transition word, it's going to be clunky. It's not going to flow the way you want, and that is one of the criteria that they give you points for. So make sure that the ideas, the paragraphs, and the sentences all flow together. That's all I have for you. I'm going to stop talking. Proofreading and editing. Hope this was helpful.